Welcome to the Laser Podcast, the number one podcast if you love to make money and do shit. We're your boys. We got you covered. I got new glasses. What do you guys think?
I literally said that you look like you're losing weight. Maybe it's just the glasses.
It is. They're bigger. I feel like they are slimming, so I'm into
Size
it.
Doesn't matter.
Are you copying me? Though, hold on. Get close to your camera. Did you just copy me?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you did. Look at this shit.
Well, you got like the wood frame. Like,
oh no, I'm poor. Okay, never mind.
All right. I mean, it's not real wood, bro. It's plastic. They're from Zenny.
This was brought from the forest of Tibet.
Where it wasn't bought from.
Scotwood.
Where it wasn't bought from is Johnson Plastics Plus, our sponsor. Yeah, sponsor of the Laser Source podcast. They've got tons of goodies over there. You like that?
That's so stupid.
Dude, so for real, Nugget was wearing them today, so it's relevant, at least to me, probably not to you if you're listening, but they have sunglasses that are like plastic front and then like bamboo sides. We actually did an episode with them on the CO2 Galvo. So go check those out, along with the myriad other items that they have in stock. You like that? Yeah, the myriad drop. Yep, and I used it correctly. They have a ton of stuff. There's a ton of stuff over there you can engrave. Speaking of bamboo, Rhiannon is literally maybe 20 minutes out from finishing her edit of the Ultimate Bamboo Engraving Guide, which is a front-to-back Rhiannon episode. I have not touched it at all, so she gets full credit for that one. That should be out tomorrow, if not the day after, depending on how critical I am of it when I see the final edit. So if you like engraving bamboo and you want the best settings for every laser, she's going to have them. She's engraved, dude. JP Plus, we didn't do an unboxing, but they sent me a bunch of shit. You know, Jackie likes to send a bunch of shit. And she sent me like 4 boxes, like 3 by 3, no joke, like 3 foot by 3 foot boxes. And 70% of it was like bamboo stuff. So I was like, if we're going to do an ultimate guide for bamboo, like we've been doing for the other materials, now's the time. So anyway, keep an eye out for that. That's coming at you real soon. And one last shout out to our sponsor, JP Plus. Thanks, guys. We love you. And we appreciate you guys making the show possible. Other than that, hello, everybody.
Hey,
welcome.
Guys.
Yeah, hey, guys. Kyle's here. And Matt's here.
Yo.
Anthony's not here again. Anthony messaged me today, and he was like, hey, man, I'm not going to be home tonight until after the show is over. I've been busy with my family. And I was like, it's okay. We'll see you next week. We miss you, though. We miss you.
We love you, buddy.
We love you, buddy. And we'll see him soon. But yeah, that's it. That's what I got. I did a 3D engraving for the first time. You want to see my first 3D engraving ever? It's not really 3D. It's height map 3D. Kyle prepared this artwork for me.
It's pretty dope.
That's pretty sick, right?
Yeah, and what was funny is I remember reading the chat about how you were like what were you talking about? Cross hatching it and doing multi-directional stuff.
Bro, dude, I was so frustrated with it for the longest time because it was like super liney. It still is a little, but I feel like it kind of finished up nice. It's definitely got like this goldness to it too, which is pretty cool. So I'm stoked on it.
I like the matte versus the polished look.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do that.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't do that on purpose. It just kind of worked out in my favor. But now I know I could definitely do it again. So that was cool. So yeah, we have a full episode about this too. If you guys don't know what this coin is, it is a Nintendo 64 controller that I scanned with a 3D scanner, which is pretty cool. That's the
part that's pretty sick.
Yeah, so this artwork came from nowhere. It's literally 100% generated by this 3D scanner. Despite the ease of the process, I asked Kyle to convert it for me into a height map, which he did, and we ran it on Lightburn. So that's pretty cool. Andrew's asking if that episode already dropped. No. That'll be next after Bamboo. We have to get the Bamboo episode out because it's a sponsored episode, and it is due before the end of June. So that one's going to come out first, and then I'm going to start editing. I haven't even started editing it yet. It's 100% shot. No editing has been done. So that episode will come out after the Ultimate Bamboo Engraving Guide. But that's what I've been doing because learning how to use that scanner has been a process. A very physical one, believe it or not. It is a lot of. I know it's.
I just
funny,
pictured you with like a 1980s montage, like push it to the limit, and
This-
you're like,
pretty much what it was. I mean, the end position is kind of like it's kind of like this, like elbows in, and you kind of like have to hold it and like use your body to move it around because you have to stay a certain distance from it while it's like
did you have
rotating.
to ride along the razor's edge?
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
That's how you win it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I,
nice.
I the tiger. So it's been you're the best
I have Tony the Tiger.
around. So that was like a learning curve, but I got through it, and the software was super easy to use. I actually do so, like, unlike my normal unboxings where I'm like, here's the thing, have a nice day. I, I actually like take you through the process of using it, including one of the big factors of it was getting multiple scans. You have to scan it multiple times. It's not just like a one thing, and then you're like, okay, there's my scan. You have to scan it like on its side and like upside down, and then you have to make all of those things kind of scan in randomly, and you have to like bring them into alignment with one another to like connect everything.
Did you have Rhiannon say the word enhance as you did these from different angles?
No, that would have been good. That would have been funny. I made a joke with Rhiannon at work literally today. I was like, we should write a bunch of weird words on like little pieces of paper and put them in a fishbowl. And then when we start a project, we pull one out and we have to include that word in the episode.
Yeah.
My first thought was like smorgasbord. I thought it would be like a good, like a good
Just
one.
put in the word meow somewhere.
Meow. Yeah.
All right,
that's a nice
all right,
one,
meow.
too.
We're gonna be looking at just like these.
We actually have that. What? I don't even remember what the episode was. It's not coming to me, but
I don't know, but
was
it's
like, we're
always
gonna get
like
started
that. It's like
right
a
meow.
smorgasbord. Yeah.
Yeah, right meow. It's a smorgasbord of materials from Johnson Plastics Plus. No, I think that's my broader update. But yeah, how you guys doing?
I mean, I'll jump in like always. You know, I'm never afraid to talk.
Yeah, I love to
So
jump in.
this week, I found out that the school that I used to work at got a new principal, and basically it's someone who I know. So I went ahead and thinking with my small business brain, I was like, hey, I need to reach out to this guy who I know and just be like, hey, I'm here. This is things that I've done in the past for the school, and so literally. I made, speaking of bamboo, I used the CO2 Galvo, so I can definitely add to that equation there to do some coasters from Johnson Plastics Plus. Those came out pretty dope.
Ooh, yeah,
right?
that's cool. Yeah,
And
what
the
is
nice-
that? That's not bamboo. That's like wood.
Yeah, no, it's bamboo.
Oh, is it bamboo?
Yeah.
Nice.
This is bamboo, which is the BRC1. This is the laserable bamboo.
You're big
See?
now. Let me see it a little closer. Is that CO2 Galvo?
Yeah,
Of course it is. You lazy.
the one that you talk trash about. And
Yeah.
then what's great is I changed the frequency on it. And let me see. So this is where, hold on, maybe big again. What are you doing?
Oh, hey, oh.
Hey. So this is where I put
Give
the
that
guy's
the blue
name on the
pill.
bottom. And so that came out pretty sharp. And then what's really interesting is by changing the frequency, I actually got a darker one shot. Look at that.
I
Isn't
am
that nice?
enraged by the placement of the fucking felt
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, for sure.
That drives
But
me
it's one of
nuts.
those things where I was just like, hey.
It's not
you know
your
what?
bad.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they're not concise. If you guys don't know what he's talking about, it's the little pads. They're not consistently placed. But the nice thing is they are glued on very strongly. Like they're nice and in there.
Yeah,
But I will
I
say,
mean, they're not like nobody should be engraving on the. They're not designed that way, So
Right.
it's like whatever. But
and that's the
I
thing. And
just-
so the nice thing
wish
though
we
with
could
the
replace
CO2
them.
Galvo for placement, I mean, I literally just mash a button. Like I pressed the down arrow and it dropped the millimeter, and
Yeah.
zippy zappy, it looks not crappy, right?
hippity hoppity, dude. That was a good one.
Hippity,
I like
yeah,
that.
hippity hoppity, something kerploppity. I don't know. So,
You
anyways,
should
but
trademark that.
these came
For
out
you.
looking nice. I also know that I made a desk sign for him with his name on it for his wife actually. So she had reached out to me to make something, And that's where I was like, no way, I used to work with him, blah, blah, blah. And then I made a nice whiskey glass.
Hey.
Yep. See? So there you go.
Ooh.
Little UV bottom. This is not from JP Plus, but it's one of those things where it's just the dollar store, right?
Word.
But they're really nice. And so I made him that, the sign. It's one of those things where now literally sitting on his desk as a reminder of stuff that I made him, because I put my card in the back of that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give him coasters that he can put hopefully on his desk or his house or whatever. And then, just the whole thing is place yourself in their purview permanently. And it's just one of those things.
I stand by the fact that Dollar Tree glass engraves the best.
It does. I really think that like IKEA has a higher silica content, which basically means more sand, which means more blasting, right? That's one of those things.
Blast them.
So there I was blasting. And so basically that's pretty much it. So like Resin saying nice self-marketing. Yeah, like that's 100%. Getting my foot in the door early, saying, hey, here's some things that I make and can do. And the nice thing was I already got a basically a request to make 10 cups for Teacher of the Month from doing that. So basically, throw in a few dollars worth of product. I think it was like $20 worth of products. I was able to get like $240 worth of work, right? So there you go. Nice. And I think that's really the biggest thing. I've had a couple other little projects that I do, but it's all the plastics. So lots of JP Plus plastics. I made some people getting hired, new job, desk plates and desk plaques and stuff like that. And sure. Now, like, summer is always a weird time because you either get slammed with stuff, I feel like, or you're just kind of floating, waiting,
I feel like it's kind of quiet for like the little things, but then the big things come along over the summer a lot. Which is pretty crazy.
Well, and this is one of those things like Jack in the Shop saying he's making whiskey smokers, right? Like, this is the time of year where it's like Father's Day just finished. So like I made a few glasses and pint glasses and stuff like that. Those were great. Cute. Those have a great return on investment. Again, dollar store, you sell it for $10. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So I've just been doing like the little one-offs and stuff like that, reaching out to some companies and schools, and like Tactical Patriot said, stuff that you can do for Christmas, and like new teacher orientations already coming up in less than 3 weeks because summer is already halfway over down here. So it's like,
if you're here live, you've probably seen it, but if you're listening to this after the fact, maybe you haven't. Matt and I did a episode about temple events for the last Laser Maker Con, and it would specifically tell you now is the time to start working on Christmas stuff. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, go watch that episode because it's really good. Matt and I put a lot of effort into that one.
Yeah, and now is the time too to be trying new stuff with new products, right? Like literally make a few things, go to people, say, hey, I do these are the price points, and make like a sheet, which is pretty much what Alex and I talked about in that too. So
yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna shut up. Kyle, what about you, friend?
The last week I actually had a lot of family stuff pop up, so it wasn't really my week in the well, it hasn't really been my 2 weeks in the shop really. Mm-hmm. So I've just been keeping up with helping out on LMA and socials and DMs and emails and
LMA's been bumping lately.
All the things we do. Yeah. And I've been doing a little bit of research into some machines, and also I am planning, I guess, a work vlog for the new shop.
Yeah.
So I have the first video stuff mostly filmed, so that'll be coming soon, where I'll be asking actually the community for some feedback on what they want to see.
Nice.
And I'm putting together kind of a build for an enclosure, but I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, you started talking about something like that a while ago, and it never really materialized. Is it kind of like a pickup from where you left off on that?
It's different, but sort of. Yeah, okay. Kind of the same deal. I want to make sure that, like, if my girlfriend comes down into the shop, she doesn't get immediately blinded, or if my dog wants to come hang out with me, if she's at like her normal eye level, she's not going to get blasted in the face by a reflection or the cat or whatever else. And also ventilation stuff. So I have a lot to kind of shove into a space.
Yeah.
Without giving away too much.
There's so much to cover there. I feel like whether you intend to or not, this move is going to be a multi-part series.
Oh, it absolutely
is.
Question. It's a lot. What's up?
Yes.
My question for Kyle and for anybody who's in chat or any of us too, like when you're planning your shop and like, so you've already made your shop before and you've learned putting things in its right place the first time just makes your life so much easier. So are you, before you get going on this, are you planning on like taking out like some graphing paper or something and like actually laying it out on paper?
Oh yeah. So
okay. That would be a great like overhead
that's
shot.
That's part of the first series. That's part of the first video.
Nice.
So okay. This is where I kind of sit down and I outline like what I want to see and what I want to keep things functional and things to think about for planning purposes. Like, you have this much space and you either want or you have this much machinery, and how is it going to fit in the footprint, and where is the exhaust going to go, and where is your air return going to go because you need fresh air, and all the stuff that kind of gets encapsulated into that. So that's all going to get covered. And then also of those steps, what do people want to see more of? Where do people feel like they're getting hung up? And I kind of go through the process of how I organize what I'm doing so that I don't have to redo it 400 times.
Nice.
Because I'd like to be done the first time. There's going to be iterations. There's going to be changes.
I was going to say that, that's going to
change. Big
change.
Stuff. You don't want to have to redo the big stuff. If you put a hole in the wall for an exhaust, you don't want to have to move it to the other side of the house.
Yeah.
That is a big fact.
It is a big fact. Yeah. I've never learned that lesson, and I plan on refusing to learn that lesson till I die. So that's how I feel about that. I seriously, you guys know, like every 5 minutes, I'm like, gotta tear down the whole shop and start over.
Well, I noticed that this thing could be better if I just moved it to the left, but to do that, I have to knock out this wall. But also, it's a structural wall, and I, you know what, guys? I started learning about metallurgy, and I'm going to go ahead and forge my own I-beam. And so,
the shop at work is like dominoes. So if I want to move something 2 inches to the left, like,
oh my god, do you hear this shit?
80 million things have to be moved 2 inches to the left. It's terrible. And I do it because I'm OCD and I can't leave it once I see it.
You are CDO because that's the correct and proper order.
Sure.
Anyways, I actually have to, speaking of what Kyle said with the ventilation, I need to get a new, like, have you guys ever just had one of your inline fans just die? I didn't realize mine was 5 years old. And I was like, oh, shit.
I mean, so here's the thing about fans, right? So as you're exhausting stuff through the fan, the fan bearings and stuff suck crap in.
Yeah.
And fun thing about motors is there's usually a magnet in there somewhere. So any little bit of magnetic dust that gets sent through there from the crap you're ablating usually gets stuck to that.
That would 100% be probably what's going on because a lot of steel has been going through there this past year.
I mean, it doesn't really matter what you're processing. If you're doing organics, it's just soot instead, and that's no better for the bearings and shit in the van and electronic. You're just
it's a sacrificial item.
It is.
Well, I was gonna say, and what's crazy is like looking online, even with tariffs and even with upgrade or up pricing and blah 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 blah, it's still way cheaper time wise to just buy a new one than it is to take apart the old one.
Well, realistically, the bearings are probably shot anyway. So.
Well, that's what I mean. Like to replace it, to do whatever you have to do, and like I don't even know what parts. So, anyways, it's just one of those things where like literally, I think out of the past 5 times I've had to turn it on, I've had to like sit there, and I don't know if you guys have had to like mess with your equipment for it and kind of just like give it the like elbow one time and it turns on. You're like, there it goes.
Yeah, I've definitely had moments where I've had to smack a fan to like teach it a lesson. Works,
I hold
though.
this up and I'm like, what'd you say?
Yeah,
You gonna turn it on?
try again. I saw, just chat's kind of been at it while we've been talking about nothing. Directed Tech said, I have a 3D Maker Pro Moose, and yeah, you definitely have to practice with them. That's the one that we're reviewing. I don't know if I said that out loud or not yet, but that's the one that we're going to be talking all about. So, and then Resin said, working on my Shopify website since Etsy updated their creative standards. I can't sell my STL Flix 3D prints. They say you can only sell stuff you design.
This is a big change.
It is a big change, and I think that would make something like a 3D scanner super useful. Just saying, because you can scan elements and bring them together to create unique things without having to model. So if you're not a modeler, I'm not a modeler at all. That could be super helpful and really useful. So maybe that would be something to consider. If you're trying to come up with some creative stuff, specifically, like, I don't know, I was trying to think like what we could do, and one thing that we were chatting about was like an axe and like a hammer or whatever for like a firefighter thing that would like end up being like 3D. I don't know. Like, you could definitely scan individual things and bring those models together though easily with what I'm going to show you guys in that episode. That would make it an easier process to come up with your own 3D things. Obviously, it's not going to be like a working toy, like those little cubes you can flip inside out over and over again, or like the Slinky Cat with like moving parts and things like that. But if you're just looking for like basic shapes that you can easily manipulate, something like the 3D scanner would be amazing for that. And you could say you created it 100% on your own, and that's kind of cool. So I just wanted to throw that thought out there because I saw that comment.
See, can you click on Geek of All Trades down there, the second to last one?
Yep, I see it.
I kind of agree with what Geek is saying. I think the Etsy thing is a big nothing burger for anyone not selling the same old rinse and repeats Wiggly Dragons. But what stinks is for people who bought devices to help supplement their income, and then they found out, hey, there's a market for those Wiggly Dragons, to have that swept out from under your feet to help offset cost of your new machine, that sucks. So I definitely feel for people who bought it thinking like, hey, I can jump in on this. But the good news is this is where like thinking about like thinking outside the box, like you said, I was literally thinking about parts. Like, so I bought a microphone for the teaching job that I do, and I needed like this little thing that connects the microphone, and it's literally like right here. This thing right there. I can't get it closer to the camera, but this little guy right here, it's like it's literally just like a peace sign, and then you have a hex nut that goes in like a barrel screw, and or a barrel hex nut screw. I don't know, good words. But long story short, it's one of those things that you could probably with a 3D scanner scan it in, make it, and then like sell it. And it's one of those things where can you put that on Etsy now? Can you not? Is that something you have to put onto your Shopify? Which Resin was saying,
if you design it yourself, you can.
Right. Well, that's one of those things where it's like, do you put a twist on it? Like, I don't know. So it's just it's kind of interesting how that all works out. And that the thing is, it's all up to whoever is on the other side of that. Which honestly, it's probably an AI program that's saying yes or no. Just because why would they pay someone to sit there and click yes or no, swipe right? And that's kind of where Resin was saying the whole point of 3D printing with multi-print was so that I could I didn't have to paint my prints. My goal was always to have my own Shopify, and now it's just been sped up by this. So it's interesting how like those little changes like are altering the market for people. Especially like the good news though is at least they did it now. Can you imagine if they did this crap like right before the holidays?
Yeah.
Like that would really suck. So I don't know. What else we got in chat? What do you guys think?
Resin's concerned about IP and copyright even with the 3D scanner, but I think like the market for SVGs of random shit like a flower that people throw together, and then sell on like design bundles or whatever. I feel like that's same type of market, but for 3D models is way less tapped. So I definitely think there's room to make some money without doing like Mickey Mouse and like the Millennium Falcon. There's like an in between, but
Yeah, and then Laura said she's not heard anything from anyone that listings are being taken down as of yet. So it's just one of those things. I guess it's kind of like a wait and see game.
yeah.
But what I think is with AI being developed, and I know this is happening on Facebook, is there are literally companies who are paying other companies to create bots to go through and find these items. And it's just so much faster now. Because it used to be like you get dinged on your account, you put something up, you change some names, and you do this and that. But now they literally have programs that just go through and find this stuff for them. And why wouldn't you? Why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And Directed Text said, I think Etsy's doing a CYA. They don't have to go through DMCA if they want to shut you down. Like they can just say, hey, we warned you ahead of time.
If Etsy wants to shut you down, they don't have to go through DMCA. They can just shut you down anyway. It's in their terms.
It's true.
Yep.
It's at their discretion.
Ask me how I know.
Think they're just. Yeah, I think that I think
it's to cover their ass for legal liability, is what it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's one of those things. Like, not only did you sign off on it, but we also told you again, and then they're just gonna go whoop and like wipe it clean. Yeah, see, essentially by the holiday season. So, anyways, what else we got in chat, man? That's a whole bunch of mess going on.
Disney lawsuit with Midjourney, apparently.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I haven't dove into that too much recently. I heard about it a couple days ago, actually, but there seems to be a lot going on with that, and I just haven't had the time to sit down and read up on it.
That's not ever gonna mean anything. I feel like it's all meaningless. You can run the same like LLM image generator AI models on a computer with a decent graphics card, like offline. You don't need, obviously it's not going to be as fast or as thorough, but people can easily run these from like desktop workstations. There's no need to have like a centralized place for it. If people want to use AI to steal artwork, they're just going to do it. So yeah. I don't think there's any hope for that to resolve anything other than to act as some kind of deterrent. But how many people are they going to chase down for their AIs running on their local computers? I just have a hard time seeing that.
Yeah, I just think that there's so many people, if they send like a cease and desist to, that they just will, because they're like, oh no, because you're a small business and you don't want to deal with it, or like, I think it's just if they can get 60% of people to stop with a letter or with like, you know what I'm saying, like a strongly worded email, then that's less than there was before. And to me, that's kind of the thing.
That's true.
It seems like AI is going to flip all kinds of IP on its head, said Anthony.
Yeah. I mean, here's the other piece of that too, is like any Joe Schmo can feed an image into any AI model and use that as a source image. And it wouldn't know the difference because it's not scanning for IP theft. It's just taking what you gave it and making those bits into different bits.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially, what's the LLM or whatever that I think China did like an open source one and it was like available to the public?
I don't know. There's a bunch you can run open source.
They like shit like that is never going to comply with any kind of like IP scan or like code that like looks for those kind of things and refuses to generate it. Those are always going to be open-ended and there's nothing anyone can do about it. And even if those did somehow all get shut down or they force stop development on it, it'd be like Nintendo with their emulator battle. Like they kill one and then like 3 more pop up in its place using recycled code. And it's just, it's a losing battle. But I agree with you, Matt. I think, if they can strike down 60% of it just by like waving their dicks around, why wouldn't you do that?
I believe they actually use a mouse.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah. I could be wrong.
I think it was a snake.
It might be a deep blue.
Mickey Mouse.
Deep blue is what I was thinking about. Yeah. Thanks. Good one, Anthony.
Yeah, and then Directed Tech said Deep Sea, Deep Blue. Directed Tech also said, seems like the genie is outside of the bottle, which obviously led me to the Xtina lyric of you had to rub it the right way. I'm a genie in a bottle.
Yep, true that. Geek of all trades, I guess this episode is going to be about AI. Honestly, that is just going to make real art by real artists that much more valuable. Not that AI isn't real art, but taking the human aspect out of it removes some value for sure. It removes a ton of value, dude. Slop is slop. There's like AI slop is like the perfect name for what that is, I think.
Here's the funny thing too, like 80% of anything made on AI, maybe more, realistically you can kind of tell it's made by AI if there's hands, if there's eyes, if there's hair.
Yeah,
I mean,
for now. I mean,
based
a
off
lot of
of
stuff,
like fingers blending through objects. I mean,
a lot of stuff is less obvious. So, like, for example, I don't do this for the edited episodes of the podcast, but when I'm just making junk thumbnails for the live episodes, which is what I do constantly, a ton of them are cartoons that are drawn by ChatGPT, for sure. It's just nonsense because it doesn't
Adobe
really matter.
Express. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think there's definitely like a time and a place. Like, I think ChatGPT is really good at helping me program things for the website, like getting code written for the website. The whole database is like 60 to 70% written by ChatGPT, and I'm there to monitor and make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing and the results work, and like add a component of critical thinking to it. I'm not a coder, dude. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I've learned a lot through the process of using ChatGPT to get the website written, but it is certainly not all me. You know what I mean? And it's really good for that. I feel like it's been a really good self-teaching tool. But there's a lot of trash too, man. There's just a lot of trash. So I think it just depends on how it's being used, just like any tool, right? I think there's a time and a place for it, and there's definitely a time and a place not for it. And I don't know, it'll sort itself out. It's just another new technology, you know.
I want to know how many of you guys, when you write a prompt for ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini, put in there, please do this, so that way when the overlords come up out of the abyss, that they treat you kindly.
Use the word please.
Yeah, like you put please in front of whatever your prompt is.
Use your manners to the AI.
I do this, and then at the end say thank you. By the way, there's an article that said the amount of money being spent on electricity and resources being spent on you saying thank you to, because like basically like after you say hey please do this and then it does it, and then saying thank you, it either responds or processes it. The amount of people who actually are chatting with it is like the costs are in the like tens of millions of dollars a month just to process the thank yous. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Just a correction, Director Tech says Deep Blue was the IBM supercomputer for playing chess. DeepSeek is the Chinese AI company, which is what I was thinking of. So just so that we're correct about that.
Since we're on the topic of AI, oh god,
I just wanted to throw Laura's thing up too really quick. AI with Etsy is crazy for garment production. Awful. And
I could imagine that
is one of the worst offenders, dude. That the AI art that people slap on clothes and shit, that's the biggest slop pile, I think.
The thing furthest from natural right there, right?
Yeah, that's the worst. I totally agree.
I was gonna say that I ran into something funny enough in the last week or two looking up something for laser stuff. Somebody mentioned something to me, and it was a safety concern about a material. And I remember Googling it just so I knew what the material was. And I, for the giggles, looked up laser safety. And it was, once I realized that it was basically vinyl, just in a different terminology, it said it was laser safe in the AI search results. And I'm like, no! I'm like, why would it say this? And I validated through the MSDS that it is not cool to do. And the more I'm looking up stuff, the more concerned I get with AI results just making shit up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's, maybe we should put out a public service announcement of like, don't believe AI search results when you're looking up safety stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think
The summary doesn't do it justice.
I think a big thing is like, and this comes back to the time and the place thing. AI was really helpful with the material safety database, but not at determining which materials were safe. You know, like getting the database together, helping me keep my notes organized, deciding how to set up the rating system, you know, like asking it which kinds of threats were of a certain danger level, you know, like questions like that worked really, really well. But just being like, hey, can I cut vinyl with a laser?
It's
probably not probably not the best use. Yeah, technically,
because well, you should have said should you, and that would be no, right?
Right.
Can you is yes. Should you? No. Is it safe? Would actually be the best question. And
Yeah,
then
which is
it's
what
not
I
going to tell you
asked.
that though. Yeah, but because you didn't ask it, it's not going to be like, actually, did you mean is it safe?
Yeah.
So, and I will say, like, that's one of the things that what's interesting. So we're talking about it because one of the people were talking about like education. I think it was Patriot was talking about education and AI. And since I'm there, that's one of the things that we actually encounter a ton working at a virtual school is students who use it. And it's one of those things where we don't actually discourage it. The whole thing is you can't turn in something made by AI, but you can use it as a study tool because it can summarize and, you know, hit you at the main points of what you're trying to do and super expedite your process for learning. Literally what you just said with coding, right?
Yeah.
You're not an expert, but you could be if you took the time. But the thing is, even as employees there, like they're asking us to use AI more and more. And I'm actually going to be in, God, I think it's in October. I'm teaching a training course. So I'm actually training. I don't know how many people are going to be taking it, but usually it's like they have it open to like 50 to 100 people, like using AI to create visually enticing discussion-based assessments, right? So literally, like, how did you use AI to take something that you're doing now and make it conceptually more possible for students to understand? And so it's one of those things where like it is being used by educators, it's being used by everybody, and they're actually asking us to teach people how to use it with some efficacy. But the problem is, like, we're not getting trained on it. We're having to kind of like wild west it. And so it's one of those things when you have people who haven't been taught a ton about it yet. It's like, and I feel like that's kind of what's happening at companies around the world, right? And stuff like that. So, hey, I used it, but I kind of know how to use it, not like with precision. So anyways, I think that'll be interesting.
I feel like they're all a little different depending on how, like, the prompting tools are a little different from one to the next, right?
Yeah,
So
for
it
sure.
kind of depends what you're using.
One of the things that I think gets missed with AI is that I think it's a really good brainstorming tool. If you're starting with absolutely nothing and you need some sort of foundation, and this applies to a ton of different things, you need some sort of a foundation to build off of. It can make a really good thing to talk to or utilize to generate that foundational layer. A really good example is I needed a mascot for a side project, right? It ended up being like this anime woman that was like playing a video game. And so Rhiannon and I had like ChatGPT draft up like 60 different versions of kind of like the ideas we were thinking. And then when we settled on one, Rhiannon took the image that ChatGPT gave it, and of course it was very AI looking. And she opened up whatever her stupid iPad paint program was and sat there with the pen and like redrew it basically.
Yeah.
Using that image as a foundation. And that worked really, really well because we were able to get our thoughts into like a foundational piece of data that we could manipulate and like turn into the final product that we wanted. And I think that thinking applies to a lot of different things. You could use that for, you know, in the same way that you would Be like, brainstorm some ideas for like my local laser engraving shop for these companies in my local area, and then take those ideas as like a foundation and build off of that, But I think those are some of the ways I've found it most useful without it being just like, give me 8 designs for keychains for Lake Tahoe,
Well, so here's the article that I read. So I actually, for my job, I had, like I said, I had to explain how I used AI this year to create something. And the acronym, because everybody likes an acronym, right? Like, how when you talk about when you're doing stuff for business or when you're doing stuff for work, you want to have SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. With creating prompts for ChatGPT and other like AI, the big one that I've read about and that I've read in my studies was craft. Like, so it's context, role, actions, format, and target, which basically those 5 things. Context, basically like what are the current challenges or goals. The role is asking you to consider specifying the tone of voice or referencing an example. So like you are going to be, so the context is you're an English teacher and you are creating a test for 11th grade English class, right? The actions, like you have to hit them with the desired outcome, write a 10-question quiz. And the format basically includes like preference for like the elements that you're going to have in there that are multiple choice or that are free response or whatever, right? And then finally the target is you expand on like the expectation. So if there's anything that you want to specifically make sure, include things about Romeo and Juliet, right? So that's it. And so if you do those 5 things, that's going to give you the most contextualized result that's kind of like formatted for you. So, and I'm pretty sure that would work for pretty much anything, right? So just so if you're out there and you're trying to figure out AI and how it can help you or how can I use it and start messing with it, that's a good acronym, CRAFT.
Nice. I like it.
That'd make a good short right there. Boom.
Boom. That's
anyway.
I think you're good. There's the intro. There's the episode intro.
All right. Anyways, I'm glad that I could help you craft that.
This is way super sharp left turn, but I'm just sitting here sweating. So I'm wondering, how hot was it in Florida today?
Oh, it was. So, all right. The hottest this week, when I went outside and got into the truck, it was 103. That's what it said. But then what it feels like was probably 110 with the humidity and everything like that. Like actual temperature, I think was like 96 or something like that. But it's been 93 or higher since like May 15th.
Mm-hmm.
So just saying. Yeah, Mike says that's why we have AC. Right now, this room never, like my garage never got colder than or hotter than 65 degrees today.
Nice.
I will pay. My electric bill last month was $525. So, but that's also because where I'm at, they have what's called a storm surcharge. All my Floridians, you know what's up. They literally just charge you $100 for living here where storms happen. They're just like, hey, $100. So there you go.
Yeah, Miranda got in the van today, and the van thermometer said 100. It's just like, I mean, for us, it's very hot. That's extremely hot.
It said what there?
100.
What? Like really?
Yeah.
Jeez, I told you a week ago. I said, hey, just so you know, you're gonna die up there next week. And Kyle's the only one who responded. Kyle's the only one who responded.
Yeah, well, I ignore everything you say because usually I'm important.
Like literally, Alex today goes, "Hey, I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. You gonna do the show?" And I said, "Open up Discord to see it all." He's like, "Nah." I literally send him like stupid gifts all the time.
I was busy last week. Did you guys catch the first Kyle temperature? Was it? Are you like doing the same as us right now, weather-wise? I'm just curious.
Yeah, my thermometer, the battery died, like my indoor-outdoor one that I keep in my kitchen. It was 101 when the battery crapped itself.
Yeah.
And the weather people in my area said the real feel was between 105 and 110.
Yeah.
But they said that when they expected the temperature to be 96 and it was 101. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It was hot.
Gross. Don't run your CO2 lasers if they're not in a climate controlled area right now.
I was gonna say, like, I'm wondering. Like in Allentown, I have a friend of mine who was just talking to me yesterday, and he said the power went out for like 2 hours because they're just not used to needing that much.
Yeah,
all the time. So,
yeah.
just saying,
It's crazy.
I believe it.
I just saw a comment that I wanted to throw up. Oh, did you guys see the? I was gonna say we didn't have a show last week, Matt, because I did that live stream with Excel
I
Laser.
watched it.
Did you guys watch that?
Yeah,
that's pretty.
I was able to watch 45 minutes of it, and then I had to dip out.
Yeah, you missed the best part, which was the
I know.
part that I got to talk because they saved me for like the ass end of the show, which I understand, but I was like in the like back room of like their video call the whole time. It was kind of weird because I had to like listen to them on the live stream with one pair of headphones, but then talk to them in the meeting with a different pair of headphones. And sometimes they'd talk to me on the live, and sometimes they would talk to me in the meeting room. So I didn't know which one they were gonna do. So I had to like wear two heads. I was like in two different time dimensions at once, and I had to like manage both of them.
All I
which
know
was
is
weird, but
I checked back in at like an hour. I think it was an hour and 15 because Kyle was like, "They're doing the giveaway," and I was like, "Oh hell yeah!"
that's so funny.
Like,
you could totally win that. I don't work for Excel Laser.
I put
We
my
wouldn't take
name
any
in. I
money
was
from
like,
them. Yeah, you should have.
You kidding me? I did not win.
No, you didn't. Though, you know who won one of those motorized beds was Sargon Tavor. Which was like, yeah, one of our like crazy. I saw his name pop up in chat, and I was like, oh, dude. But of course, I was like super late at that point because the delay was so crazy. But I was like, I know that guy. That is cool. If you're listening to this, Sargon, congratulations. But yeah, dude, it was a good presentation. It sold me on a lot of things that I was very unsure about before having watched it, I guess. So I'm more excited now than I was previously.
So 2 things. Carlos Herrera way back at the beginning, like underneath Laura saying hey and Cheryl saying hey, he said Excel Laser HD1 thoughts ?
Yeah,
So
dude.
my question is, what were you like afraid of, and then how did they like assuage those fears? Like how did they?
I think the thing that made me feel a lot better was the demos being performed in front of me with the software running, and like them sharing that screen and being able to see that there really wasn't too much going on the user interface for them, even with their custom like software setup that they were running to make the machine function. So if it's that doable, then with what I saw from their software, once that's integrated with Lightburn, it should be pretty thoughtless. That's obviously, there's still a huge asterisk back behind that because they had all of those demos ready to go. You know what I mean? I'm sure that they dialed them in. They didn't just like whip out random shit, though they did say they were like planning some segment where we were just going to provide them with some stuff and like do it on the fly, but they ran out of time for it. And I definitely preferred to ask if I had to pick between those things, I wanted to make sure that the questions that we had got asked before doing like the kind of on the spot demos. But I don't think that's the last time we're going to hear from them. And I do think that they are willing to do that kind of on the fly demoing, which would sure up any kind of like leftover.
Well, yeah, because that's how a shop works. Like, that's how a business works. Like, you don't know, unless you are like, I am the man who makes these things. Like,
yeah. And so I just being able to see it do stuff and being able to ask those questions. I got a shout out to everybody that's watching this right now that was there, and everybody who isn't here right now that was there. The chat was on it with questions. I felt like what are the people? God, it feels so stupid when we do the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What are the people? Yes, accurate. What are the people that type in a courtroom? Stenographer. Yeah, I remembered before you told me. And
no, you didn't. No, you absolutely, you literally didn't. You're so full. You're like, I'm like stenographer.
Stenographer.
Piece of shit.
I felt like a stenographer. up in there because there were so many good questions in chat. You gave me some really good questions, Matt, that I tried to get to. Kyle had a few.
Yeah.
So I tried my best. I wasn't even listening to them answer half of the questions
Because I was ready for the next question.
I was getting ready for the next question, and there were so many. I was like trying to monitor chat, which again, there was no back end like there is in StreamYard where you can like star things and go back. So I had to like do it all as it was running through live chat, and they weren't doing it because I'm sure they didn't want extra questions, you know. So I was really trying to make sure that I just got every single question that was coming through, and so I kept that sheet. I don't know, you guys probably saw me writing that whole time during the show. I have those papers, and I was thinking about doing like a quick, like what I learned from the Excel Laser live stream.
I think that'd be a great
episode that just kind of recaps like those points and kind of puts
or even if you just did like a here were some of my concerns, here's how they were addressed,
here's how they were addressed.
Here's the questions I still have
at
the end of it, so it's like come back for more.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. So I think something like that might be good. I have all the notes, and of course we have the live stream too. So there's a lot to be able to go back and reference and show on screen.
Well, and that's where you could just be like, if you're interested in watching the whole live stream of it, you know, click here, and you have that pop up in the corner there. But honestly, one of the things, Resin was saying that she thinks that's a good idea. One of the things that I had asked in case. I don't know, because like I said, I had to stop at 45 minutes. Did you ever find out about the Z marking and like being able to stay out of focus if you wanted to?
Yeah, you absolutely can do that. You can just set an offset.
Dude, that's sick. Okay,
yeah,
that's big. Because like, for example, you've got Cuban Cracked way up there. Bronson said that he had 150 hooks to make and he's going to do a Z mark on them. So if you could like literally lay them out, 15 in your bed, that's 10 jobs. You can walk away and 15 of those are going off, and you can, you do that 10 times, set it up. That's big. That's like Kyle's favorite thing is like, not automation. What do you call it, Kyle?
Batch jobs.
Bulk jobs. Stuff. Yeah. Like Kyle literally is like, hey, you can
efficiently tuning workloads.
Kyle loves to batch stuff. Just saying.
He does.
You're an idiot.
No, you do. You love the batch. Like there was one time I had 100 of things, and you're like, that if you know what,
no,
like, hop on and share the screen. I'll literally show you how to make this jig. And then he sat there for 20 minutes showing me how to make a jig. And I said, I've already done, like, I've never stopped working.
Kyle has fucking rotary jigs. Like people keep records in the milk crate, and he's just like,
you're actually not wrong.
I know I'm not wrong. Absolutely. That's why I said it.
Same.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
I have 150. I have 150 anodized dog tags that I have to make for a swim team coming up. So I will probably bother you then, Kyle, because I'm not gonna do 150 of them because it's like 4 lines.
Kyle, ship me the index.
Yeah, literally.
Just pop it in the mail. I'll rent it from you.
If you could just put that 300-pound 5-foot object into the mail for me, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That's what Mike said. There was some dynamic focus thing that they mentioned. Sounded perfect for Z-Mark. Boom.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was if you have the time and patience, you should go watch it, the rest of it, whatever you missed, because they did some impressive stuff. One of the things I thought was particularly cool was they did like a ramp test where they did the stitching along a ramp. And I was like, yeah, that's cool, but can it do it this way? And then they were like, yes. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And so I thought
without skipping a beat, he goes, you mean like this?
Yeah, pretty much. And so I thought that was pretty impressive. What I did think was interesting, and I'll mention this during the not in a way that will upset them. And I don't have the answer to this, just a lot of preface to this comment, but I was very interested by the things they didn't want to talk about. They were not things that I expected them not to want to talk about. So I may make like a short list of things that.
Yeah, the only, and I don't want to say the only thing I didn't like, because I didn't care. It didn't bother me. When I first started watching it, I almost thought I was watching like an X-Tool opening,
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
the first
they did have
thing-
like their video. I think they were still getting things ready. So
Yeah,
they
for
were like
sure,
stalling
absolutely.
by like just playing
But
that.
even
Yeah.
like when they have like the people and it's like the like, oh, we get that fast paced. All right, next thing, and it's just like you can just see them. But I also know that they're in like a small shop, like moving and going. So
Yeah.
because they were limited on time. So, but like, and honestly, watching those extra ones, I'm not gonna lie, I've like caught myself just kind of being like, because it is entertaining. So it was cool.
Yep, it's cool. Go watch it, and you'll see what I mean. But yeah, I think the like a brief, like 8 minutes. That for those of you that
Brief
weren't there,
8 minutes.
dude, it was 3 hours.
I
It was
know,
a
I know.
3-hour live stream. If I can jam that into 8 minutes, I'll be happy. That's kind of been my goal lately. I think I talked the last time we did an actual episode of the podcast, which God knows when that was, but I think I talked
Which
about
Tom remembers.
how I was trying to like do shorter episodes, and I have been. So if you guys notice that and care, let me know. Or if you don't care, I guess, let me know that you don't care. I don't know. I'm in my head. I'm trying to, come
Dude,
to
did you
terms
see
with shorter episodes.
Anthony
so.
said local Mexican forest restaurant wants
Local
to-
Mexican forest wants 3,000 wooden drink tokens.
That's insane.
Dope.
3,000 would. You know what would do great for that? A CO2 Galvo. Probably the best machine for Alex. Loves the CO2 Galvo.
I do.
CO2 gantry and just cut out of solid wood a bunch of tokens, and then as that's batching, cutting out,
Oh,
you just sit there and you batch out the engraving on the CO2 Galvo and all the batching.
You know what? If you can just send the index to Anthony, send it to me first. I will do my 150 things. Then we'll send it. We're gonna just slap tags on there as we go and kind of like make a passport for the index. Oh, Fiesta. Okay, local
Fiesta
Mexican
instead of forest.
I was like forest. I was like, I've never been to a Mexican forest, but I've also never been to Mexico. So
Mexico has forests.
I didn't say they don't. I just said I've never been to one. Like una foresta. I don't even know how to say it.
Have we come across a water cooled JPT E2 Series 60 watt?
I don't think I've
No.
seen one. I don't
For,
know if that
fiber?
means it doesn't exist or if I'm just
Water-cooled
uncultured.
Fiber.
Yeah, I mean, like, there are higher
water-cooled
wattage
fibers.
fiber sources that require water cooling. That's not new, but 60 watts is a little low.
It is, but that's one of the things they mentioned at that Excel demo that I was at. That's a 60 watt, isn't it, on the Ultra?
Yeah,
And
but they
then-
didn't say the fiber was water cooled. They said the diode was water cooled.
No, the fiber's water cooled too, right?
That's not what I understood. But
I was
maybe.
under the impression that we were talking about the fiber the whole time, but maybe it is the diode. 80 watts for a diode is fucking crazy too. So
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of modules all in one spot.
yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, Mike
No,
C down there saying they're both water cooled.
They're both water cooled. I remember they were talking about it, but I'm also pretty sure that was like a custom thing they asked for. I don't know if they just picked a water cooled source. I think they like asked for it to be water cooled during the manufacturing, but I don't know. I was like barely there because I was like trying to make sure that questions got addressed, but I have to rewatch it myself at some point so we can shore up those points.
David said in Discord they shared the coolant loop. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that is cool.
Maybe that means it's made to endure longer jobs easier. I don't know.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with water cooling.
Or maybe he just doesn't like the whine of fan noises.
Yeah,
The thing.
I don't. That's one of the many reasons I hate my CO2 Galvo.
What?
Yeah.
What? You don't.
I know.
like this, do you?
No, you like to
That's
turn
news
that.
to me.
You like to turn the CO2 Galvo on and snuggle it as you fall asleep.
Well, usually the reason, just so anybody who's out there in the audience knows,
Makes my
favorite
tinnitus
thing-
feel good.
My favorite thing about the CO2 Galvo is when Alex would start to like say things to me, I would usually just be like, "Hey, hold on, I have to run something," and I would just turn it on, and then it just drowns him out. And he'd be like, "You caught all that, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Wait till you see how much better. You guys think that Matt's silly little coasters look good today. Wait till you see the marks we got with the UV.
I'm interested. Oh, dude, I want to mess with the UV, but yeah,
so
I'm
good.
interested. I'm interested.
Slow. It was slow. I'll give you that. CO2 Galvo blows everything else out of the water as far as speed goes. But if you're not in a rush, man, the
What's
UV
interesting
pretty
is
wild.
I lowered the frequency on the CO2 Galvo, and that actually got me a better char mark than if I like the standard setting that I have for most of my wood products. So that was interesting.
I think part of the reason why you're not a fan of CO2 Galvo and me and Matt just don't see the problem with it is because I think your beam expander is still the wrong size for the head and output.
Yeah, it's definitely a little small.
You're not getting the best you could out of it.
Yeah, I need to address that at some point. That's just like the 80 millionth project that I'm not going to do. So
instead of a fat tip Sharpie or like the fine tip Sharpie, you're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I do want to see how the UV did, though. I'm excited to see that video.
It did very well, and I watched Rhiannon film this, even though I didn't have a hand in filming it. And my favorite mark is actually from the gantry diode. I think did the best out of everything, which is good because I usually tell people that gantry diodes do the best out of everything, and now I've actually seen them all like side by side, and I feel like I can stand by that. We used the Ortur Laser Master 3 for that episode, the gantry diode. It's a 10-watt module on that, and it did a really nice job. So pretty stoked on it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's a good one. The last time I looked at the clock, we were at like 20 minutes, and I was like, man, it's going to be a long night. And then somebody said something about AI, and now we're at an hour. So I guess that's the end of the show.
Tonight flew by.
Yeah, it really did.
It was almost like an AI generated
episode. How many fingers does everybody have?
Oh god.
Oh, no, it's like the end of the thing. Let's just sit here and see what happens.
That was good. You want to see it again? Ready?
No. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Talking to you, Matt and Kyle. Appreciate you. And chat, I love you guys. Every single one of you. Thank you for being here. I am now realizing that Kyle just did the thing I asked him to do. So I'm going to take one more minute of your time before we sign off tonight and let you know that Kyle has an Etsy shop where you can buy infinite patterns for things. So if you need patterns for a thing and you need it to repeat infinitely, Kyle has a place where you can buy those. There are really
good,
very, very, very many of them. Lots of selections, lots of items. Make sure you go check that out. Help him get through his move, make his day, purchase a pack. I think he'd really appreciate that. And Matt, I'm not even going to try with you. Tell the people you've got a new little idea for a side project, and I'm excited for you to tell everybody about it.
Alex has bugged me to keep. He's like, dude, tell people that you do stuff. Tell people that you do stuff. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll do stuff. So basically, if you're somebody who's trying to start up a small business, or if you need questions and help with, like, you want to sit down one-on-one and make some small business discussions about shops, products, how you can like start upselling and doing marketing, all that kind of stuff. I have just, I guess, did Kyle put the link in the bottom? Is that what we were waiting on? Oh, sweet. So there's a link down in the bottom. It's my company, which is elccreations.youcanbook.me. And basically you can sign up for like 30-minute consultations with me. So feel free to reach out, shoot me a message, and you can communicate with me there. And so it's just one of those things. If I can help you, then that'd be great.
Yeah. So support my boys. They've been here a very, 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 very long time and done quite a bit for me and everybody else here. So go support their projects, please. Links are down in the description. And if you love the show and you want to support me, don't forget to smash the like button. Let everybody else know the content is good. They love the show. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified the next time we go live. If you really love us, you can head over to masters.lasereverything.net. Hang out with Kyle. It's the #1 place to go online if you are looking for laser support, if you want to support others, if you want to be in a cooperative environment filled with productive people that are intelligent and know their machines, the Laser Master Academy is the place you want to be. And of course, it's the number one way to support the channel. So if you want to check that out, masters.lasereverything.net for all the information there. You guys got a lot of new episodes coming out. Bamboo Ultimate Engraving Guide. You've got the Moose episode coming out for the 3D scanner. You've got Kyle's little series on moving to look forward to, and probably an Excel laser recap video. I'm going to see what my appetite is for manhandling that when I'm at work tomorrow. But for now, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
Pew, pew, pew.
Good night, everybody. See ya.